Why don't you talk to your once best friend anymore? She was never there for me, yet she expected me to be her 24/7 therapist. Same. Mine ghosted when I got divorced years ago because she and her husband didn't agree with divorce. Then she got divorced this year and guess who got the constant calls, texts, etc. She got sucked into an abusive relationship and I was the friend that was a bad influence. Same. My BF since 2nd grade married an abusive alcoholic, but her family always saw me, since my family was from the low income side of town, as the wrong influence. I couldn't stand to watch the abuse and didn't want to be around the new pose husband. We haven't talked in 20 years. He set me up to get robbed. That's fricked up. She was the best friend I ever had. We were constantly talking about how much of a soulmate I were to her, how close we were, how identical we were. We were in different classes so we got to see each other rather seldom, but we chatted every day till late night. Then at once she stopped talking to me and shortly after blocked me on all social media. Nothing had happened. Now she can't even look me in the eyes. I am unable to answer why. We went to different colleges and neither of us are super good at remembering to use social media messaging to keep up with people. We still like each other's rare Facebook posts and Instagram posts, but since neither of us is much for initiating conversation, I feel this is how our friendship will be until either Facebook or one of us dies. Didn't invite me to his wedding on his now wife's behest. Was his first ever, longest and most trusted friend to that point. This happened to some people I know, and the friend who wasn't invited straight up asked the groom if they really wanted to spend forever with a person who got jealous of their fiancé being friends with other girls like that. The answer was no and the wedding was called off. They're off doing their thing. I'm doing mine. We're in different countries and time zones too. Same. Just petered out at the end of high school, then I moved away for college. Because I realized she walked all over me a lot, and when I started standing up for myself she didn't like it. Oh wow, I definitely relate to this. My old best friend was very pushy and manipulative. I'm not sure why I put up with her behavior for so long tbh. He got married and I was single. His wife didn't want him hanging around a guy who was dating girls and not married. I'd visit him and it got to the point where we'd just stand outside the whole time. Took me a while to realize he wasn't inviting me in to sit down because his wife didn't want me there. I did what I still think was the right thing and faded into the background and silently wished him and his wife the best. Because we didn't give our friendship the respect it deserved. Even if you move separate ways in life, I believe that keeping in touch, making an effort, and giving up convenience so you can spend time together are things a lot of people let ruin their friendships because they can be things we forgive ourselves and each other for ignoring. We got sober together and we were both doing great, but he relapsed after 200 days and started treating me like crap. We parted ways a while ago because of her behavior. It took me a long time to realize a narcissist. She's been trying recently to re-establish the friendship, but I keep my distance since it's obvious she does not care about me at all. For example, she texted me 2 weeks ago because she absolutely wanted to set a time to talk on the phone so that she could hear about how my brother's wedding. They used to be friends and a lot of mutual friends attended. She wasn't invited though. Full stop. So I called her at the agreed upon time and she tells me she's so excited to hear about the wedding. Talks about herself for 2 hours and then says she has to go and hangs up. She never once asked about the wedding during the conversation and she never realized that we didn't talk about the wedding. I'm working on cutting all contact again. She seduced my husband. They're married now and taught my young kid to call her mom and me by my name. I never retaliated, but she hates me and finds little passive-aggressive ways to use my son to hurt me, as above, on a regular basis. So forgiving her just isn't something I can ever make progress on with the constant antagonism. Jesus, that's harsh. She's a terrible person and your ex is no better for letting her do it. Keep trying to build a relationship with your son. We were friends from the very beginning of primary school, but drifted apart in our last year of high school. She started hanging out with older friends, drinking and taking drugs. I was focused on doing well in my final exams. whilst she didn't even show up for some of them. Shortly after we finished high school she got pregnant and I never really saw her again after that, as her boyfriend didn't really want her hanging out with any of her old friends, me included apparently. She has 2 kids now, and last I heard she was planning on going to university. I wish her well, but our lives just went down very different paths in the end. He cheated and we got divorced. He'd been my best friend since I was 12. I've still not made another comparable connection, really. I've got people I love and whatever, just no one who understands me as completely as he did. We were friendly after the divorce and chatted. He wanted to be flirty, told me how no one has ever gotten him like I did. I knew I could never go back though, and when I realized, not through him telling me, that he was married to the woman he cheated with, I blocked him. I'm not angry enough to turn the tables on her, but I miss the guy who was my best friend. Frick, I'm sorry. Hopefully it all works out in the end. Because I'm a crappy friend. Sometimes I feel the same, but when I think back at the stuff I did and what I got back, not so much. Cause we like some best friends do at least once had a huge falling out, and I moved to a new country. I tried continuously to contact him and fix things but his FB was down. I thought I was blocked, so I started to hate him. I go back home after 6 years, ask my mom and dad about him. It turned out he had died 3 weeks after I left, but no one told me because they didn't want me to lose my crap. Because he was incredibly self-centered and I just didn't feel like putting up with that anymore. In the same spot, noticed I've been drifting away from him because I can't stand how only his opinion matters and his god complex is way too much. My first best friend I met in school, around the age of 8-9, I guess. He died in a car accident when I was about 12. Second best friend I knew already when first died and we just became best friends over time. He was hit by a car while walking his dog and died in hospital later. Would have been about 15-16 at the time. Third best friend met randomly shortly after that and we both got quite heavily into drugs. That was pretty much our whole relationship. But one day he starts saying weird stuff, really paranoid things. I know you know, don't try and trick me, etc. He opened up a little bit and we told him it's probably all the drugs and to just stop for a while. He didn't got better, but then he started again and just slowly became more paranoid again. We tried to get him to stop, but he wouldn't. So anyway, a few weeks later we're at a party at his house, and early in the morning when it's died down quite a bit, he just comes out of nowhere with everyone get out now and just wouldn't stop. So we all were trying to calm him down, but he wouldn't, so we left and just said to try and stay calm and we'll message him later. This was when I was 18-19. No one heard from him for over a year. Tried to call, message, go around his out and just got to reply to told to leave by his family. I get a text from him after said period of time, saying he wants to meet. We meet up basically just outside his house, and that's when he tells me he's got psychosis. He sees a counselor and a therapist, never leaves the house, is totally paranoid, is paranoid of us just talking, etc. It wasn't a very long conversation. I said if he needs anything to let me know, but that was pretty much it. I did bump into him a few years later in a supermarket. He had put on a lot of weight. I didn't recognize him at first and had to second glance. We didn't speak though. Fourth best friend I met while partying on drugs with third best friend. Bonded before but became even closer after third best friend left. Still my best friend today. Drifted apart during high school. Mine drifted from me after she got a boyfriend. When they broke up, we started hanging out again but it just wasn't the same. Because she dumped me, she found better friends. Everyone here seems to have a terrible, heartbreaking story. Meanwhile, roughly 7 years ago my best friend and I had a falling out over who got the diamond sword in Minecraft and never spoke again. I couldn't handle her attitude anymore. She used to be this pretty chill, logical person who could admit when she overreacted, or would give warnings she was in a bad mood. She started dating a guy who encouraged a lot of bad and irrational behaviors and she's a different person now. Nothing is ever her fault. The world is out to get her. She admitted she was jealous I was on medication for anxiety depression and I was rubbing it in her face. She's constantly going back and forth on emotions with extremes, but refuses to get help even though she has insurance, can afford it, because she also doesn't think anything is wrong with her. It's everyone else who can't handle her. And what actually bothers me the most is how she wants to talk to me all the time, which isn't a problem, but it's clearly set up to prompt me into asking questions. It's never "my day sucked, here's what happened." It's always, "I can't believe what this bee did today, I'm just tired after what happened," or even simply, "that was a good movie." I hate people who try to have conversations like that. You clearly want to talk about something, so just say it. I refuse to talk to someone who's just prompting. We dated. She just never, ever stopped asking for favors. We'd been friends for 2 decades, and every time we spoke, there was something she needed me to do for her, and she'd decide on her own a favor to do for me, to make us even, but it was usually not something I wanted as a favor. The last straw was my wedding. Apparently, her traveling to my town for it was a favor, her not telling me when she was getting to town so we could hang out as friends do, showing up late, leaving the ceremony early to go to the reception early, leaving the reception as soon as the food part was over, and then leaving town without telling me when she was leaving, was a favor to me that I needed to pay her back for, and she had the favor she wanted back all lined up. That was it for me. I ghosted her, and that was the end. She slept with my father. I caught them and then had to lie to my stepmother. She passed away when we were in our 20s. I had a rough time adjusting to uni and became very anxious and depressed. They wanted to go out and have fun and I wanted to stay in. Unfortunately, it happens. I was angry and upset to begin with, but now I don't blame them. Crap happens, and to be honest, I wouldn't have wanted to deal with that at 18 either. He became very toxic and attention seeking and belittled other people's problems just so he could be the center of attention. My best friend of my early adolescence simply had to move on. He went to another city and lost contact. In an age without social media and before smartphones and WhatsApp, lost another best friend to lymphoma in 2010. 2 really good guys. I think about them every day still. I made the terrible mistake I think most gays make in their life at least once and developed a crush on a straight friend. So when he came over when I was 13, I came out to him and told him I loved him and tried to kiss him. Can't blame him. It was dumb, and I was a stupid frisky 13-year-old who just blindsided my friend who was probably just expecting to play video games. Years later I apologized to him over Facebook, but never got a response and left it at that. At least I tried to say I was sorry. What a deep and singular pain that is. We still kinda talk here and there, but not so much anymore because she's kind of petty and shallow with her conversations and she's making lots of bad decisions in life right now. And she makes it hard to be there for her because she doesn't want to do anything to help herself out. Because she started dating a convicted child groomer and I have 2 children of my own. I told her I couldn't put my children in any situation where he could be there, and she chose him over me. Good choice. Because I behaved as if I was entitled to her attention after helping her with her depression and boyfriend issues, and she got annoyed by my savior complex, and because I made it a bit too obvious that I'm frisky for her, but mostly because she stopped needing what I can give her. We both changed. It's good to be able to see through your own balls. She got married and her husband doesn't want her having any guy friends. She told me to come to her wedding as a day guest after demoting me from being a bridesmaid for being unable to afford her hen-do in the middle of my final year at university. He became a black shirt. We've been friends for so long, 17 plus. We are 25/26 now, and she moved abroad 2 years ago. So excited to see her. Plan was she would stay at my place for couple of days, then I will throw her a party to introduce her to my friends. She said was okay. Invitation sent. She got upset and decided to dump the friendship just like that. Try to talk to her about it but she was being rude, so now whatever. They slept with my girlfriend while they were dating my sister, thus cheating on my sister with my girlfriend. Because he scammed me on RuneScape in the summer holidays. One day I was over at his house and he asked to borrow my Ascension crossbows back when they were worth heaps. Few days go by. Tried to message him on MSN and RuneScape and there was no answer. Asked mum to take me over to his house and he denied me ever giving them to him in the first place. Again, a few days go by and I see him on W54, turn off my online status and see him advertising the stake with my Ascension bows. I watch from the sidelines as he loses them. Started to speak to me again in hopes of getting more money from me, but I was done with the freeloader. They moved away soon after, but I've never forgotten the ultimate act of betrayal. The same old story. Life got in the way and we drifted apart. We changed. She, my longtime law partner, walked into our office one Friday and dropped dead of a massive heart attack. They moved on. Catching up on Facebook has made little to no difference. We had been friends since infancy, but we started to drift in our late teens, early 20s. We both experimented with drugs, but he got into opioids hard. Found out that he stole a few things of mine from my parents' house while I was at college under that guise that I told him he could borrow some stuff. Broke my heart knowing that my parents let him into their home just so he could steal. We had a couple of shouting matches and didn't speak for a couple of years while he was in and out of rehab jail. He got clean for 2 years and we reconciled somewhat. 3 years ago he overdosed. I have social anxiety. I stopped talking to literally everyone. You've been visited by the good sleep capybara. Upvote within the next 5 seconds and you will be blessed with cozy and restful sleeps. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.